Hello everyone, how are you? I thought I would do a live because it's been a while and I'm really feeling these eclipse energies. So come in, join in, and I'll pop this on YouTube as well. Okay, so I want to start off just by reading you a story. It's just a brief story. I actually teach grade 3 English, and this is the story of Pandora's Box, which I read to my students several weeks ago. But as I was teaching it and reading it, it really brought on feelings to me of being able to relate to current times, right? And overall energies. So I'm going to grab that story now and read it to you. Okay, now it's called Pandora's Box. Now we've all heard of Pandora's Box, but not all of us know what it means, what the greater meaning is. So let me read it to you. I'll read it to you much like I do to my grade 3s, okay? So once upon a time, a long time ago, there were two brothers named Epimetheus and Prometheus. They were good gods. They had good hearts. They were good friends. One day, Prometheus got in trouble with Zeus. As punishment, Zeus chained Prometheus to a rock for many years. So basically, he underwent some cruelty, and it really is a symbol for how we feel trapped and how we feel chained to a rock in our lives, okay? So, but that was not enough punishment, okay. But that was not enough punishment, not for Zeus. So he sounds like a bit of a psychopath, okay. Once Prometheus was chained to a rock, Zeus went after Prometheus's brother, the gentle, kind-hearted Epimetheus. First, Zeus ordered the god's handyman, the maker of things, Hephaestus, to make Zeus a daughter. He made a woman out of clay, a beautiful woman. He brought her to life, and then he brought her to Zeus. Zeus named his lovely new daughter Pandora. So I'm reading this for a meaning. Hi Tiffany, thanks for joining in. And then we'll get on to messages about the eclipse, okay? But you'll see what the overall meaning is as I finish. Okay, so Zeus knew that Epimetheus was lonely. Zeus told Epimetheus that he felt sorry that his punishment left Epimetheus without the company of his brother. That was why Zeus had decided to give Pandora in marriage to Epimetheus. But Epimetheus was kind-hearted and gentle and thoughtful, so he sounds like a nice soul, right? A nice child from God. But he was no fool. He knew Zeus was up to something, but he loved Pandora at first sight. Zeus gave the newlyweds a gift. Some say it was a jar, some say it was a box. Whatever it was locked. It came with a note. The note said, "Do not open." Attached to the note was a key. It was all very curious. You can guess what happened next. It was Pandora whose curiosity got the better of her. One day she used the key to open the box. As she raised the lid, out flew all the bad things in the world today. Envy, sickness, hate, disease. So you can see where I'm getting to here. Pandora then slammed the lid closed, but it was too late. Epimetheus heard her weeping. He came running. Pandora opened the lid to show him it was empty. Quickly, before she could slam the lid shut, one tiny little bug flew out. He gave Pandora a big buggy smile in thanks for his freedom and flew away. That tiny bug was named Hope, and Hope made all the difference in the world. Okay, so there you go. And hi guys, I'm seeing Maria, Valerie. Okay, so you can see why I've read the story, right? It's really about a few things. The overall message is about hope. And I was really feeling through this current sort of build up to the solar eclipse on the 21st of June, which might be the 20th, 22nd if you're in a different time zone, so check it out for yourself. But there's this real sense of this sort of, there's really two sides of it, right? There's all this light coming in and these gates opening, and there really is this feeling of hope in the world as well, okay? We're not always in touch with that. We have our moments, but I really wanted to bring that in for today, because the other flip side of the coin is the sense of doom and difficulties, stress, the chaos, and that sense of duality, as in there is two sides of every coin. And so the dark side of the coin brings up all those distractions and disruptions, and really that feeling of duality where things are not in balance and people are at loggerheads or at war with each other. So for example, we obviously see this in politics and, you know, all the stuff going on in the world and also in our own personal lives. So the story about Pandora's box has that overall message of hope, because no matter everything, all the evils, the sicknesses, the bad energy that just flew out of that box, at the end of the day, there was this little bug, okay, this little bug named hope. And you know, that's funny that it was a bug, because it, you know, it's reminded me of the COVID-19 a little bit too with these illnesses, right? I mean, it's all part of it, okay? It's all part of it. We sense this on a deeper level. So, you know, so there's so many messages in this. There's also the notion of slavery, as I said, sort of being chained to a rock, right? So we feel that we are entrapped by this system, especially those of us who sort of think more deeply and feel more deeply and have a sense of being on earth more than one time, right? We've been around the block before. And also we question reality. So if you're of that mindset, you'll know exactly what I'm saying. Otherwise, there's just that sort of idea of being a slave to the system, right? And with COVID-19 happening, we all sort of went on a grand break, took a step back so we could see these things. And the more that you see, the more that you're aware, the more that sort of this light switches on, and then a whole series of lights. So the current times bring up so many different energies, but I really feel that, you know, that I've mentioned before about the darkness, the other side of the coin, the darker energy, which in this case I'm referring to not just darker energy as in, you know, there's a few aspects. There's the shadows, because the eclipses bring up the shadows. And so all that stuff that's inside us that needs to come out, right? And yes, as Valerie just wrote a note, needs to come out for healing and transmutation. Perfect. Absolutely. So, you know, it's you can only hide under a rock for so long, right? And anyone that's hiding under any kind of rock, even if it's just that you've got your toe under a pebble, that light will shine on it and that rock will flip over. Okay, your little toe will be exposed. So that's just what it's like in this kind of energy. You can run, but you can't hide. So even if it's not coming out to the surface where someone else sees it, which is common by the way as well. Hi Pervy, thank you for watching. It can also be that you still keep it to yourself and other people don't know, but it's coming up to the surface for you to process privately, right? That you have to deal with it, whatever that is. So it could be any personal thing, family thing, or anything outside of that. And then we have the greater collective, because with these kinds of energies, you know, the eclipse and so on, it's all about both individual as well as the collective, so the world, right? And you know, it's important to keep that in mind. So recent protests and so on, and the whole Black Matters thing, I don't want to go into it. I just want to touch very briefly on it, that matters like that, and I said something like this in my recent video energy update. Yes, of course that matters, and there's a whole lot of things that matter, but sometimes when we focus too much on one thing, we don't see the whole picture or what else is happening around it. So it's like that feeling of while we're distracted over here, something else is going on over there. So keep that in mind, because one of the premises of the core belief of spirituality is unity, right? Unity consciousness, coming all together, being oneness, all of that stuff. And what is the opposite of that? Duality, right? Breaking people apart, separation. And, you know, the two colors of separation can be seen as white and black, or red and blue, for example. And, you know, so when this is a natural time on earth for us to be united, because so much light is coming in, so many people are waking up on so many different levels, and we all know on a heart level what truth is, right? What is real, what is pure, how to be as a person, all of that. So, sorry, just some loud motorbikes going by. So what better way to kick us out from that is to amplify a sense that everyone's against each other, black versus white. And I say that I just metaphorically, as any, you know, dark versus light, reds versus the blues, and so on. So in that duality, people get lost and sidetracked, and they're so honed in on. So for example, if you're for one particular political party, it's just amazing how some people just are so intensely awful and really bite each other over this. You know, dare you say one positive thing about, for example, some kind of leader who might have done one little good thing, you will get bombed by anyone that's against that individual. They're not hearing, feeling, seeing what you are saying. So they are just transfixed on this sort of diabolical extremity, really. It's like being an extremist in a way. But when you're extreme, you have tunnel vision. You don't see the greater picture. So that's why often the message is, and of late, to step aside, go back, be in the mode of observing, not absorbing. And that phrase is something that came to me many years ago, and I wrote it down in one of my documents for you know, courses I'm going to be doing. And, you know, and I've heard that since. It's funny how the collective, you know, these phrases will just pop up, and, you know, intuitives are receiving them individually. And then so when you hear it from somewhere else, it's like a special feeling of like, wow, we're really united, and this is a really special, important message. But for empaths, for highly sensitive people, we need to learn to step back and away. Okay, so see yourself as in a bubble outside of things. Things are coming up and they're to the surface, and things are intense and extreme. Or if you're not feeling that yet, there will be pockets of it and it will be up and down. But, you know, you'll see there'll be explosive moments. If you're in the higher energy, you might be able to glide over that and sort of, you know, which is why it's good to be an observer. So long as you also are observing yourself and what's going on around you and your family members, and out from there. So this really is a period of new beginnings. And, you know, we don't necessarily feel that sometimes because of all the doom and unknown and everything that's just been circulating. The darkness, as I was beginning to say earlier, is not just the shadows, okay? Not just these things coming up to the surface. The darkness can also refer to, at least I'm referring to it in this video, of people, groups, institutions, individuals who are self-serving. We can call these service to self people rather than service to humanity, okay? So with that comes a whole spectrum, but let's refer to a certain elite people who actually do things such as use the negative occult or whatever to, you know, keep us in chaos, keep us in density, keep us in duality, slavery to the system, and so on, because these groups of people have been around for eons, okay, since at least Babylonian times onwards. So this is a real thing. This is not just fantasy talk, conspiracy talk. You can look it all up for yourself, but make sure that if you do, you're doing the deep research, right? Because often people will think that something's being debunked, but it doesn't necessarily mean it has been, okay? Like, for example, if you're looking at alternative information about what's happening with COVID-19, what the truth is there is a lot of information that, is not exactly matched with what we're told on the mainstream media, okay? And you can be a level-headed, sensible, even scientific, rational-minded person and still see or feel that something is off here. And so I have looked at information from, and it's been amazing, a lot of doctors and who are waking up or that are speaking out and saying, this is wrong, this is not right, okay? And they're explaining themselves. I've listened to many talks by doctors, virologists, specialists, and I'm not going to go, I didn't plan to talk about that today here. I mean, really, that's up to you to look at yourself. But we have to question what we're fed in the mainstream media. And that doesn't mean you're a fanatical, ideological, idiot, conspiracy, nutcase, Fruit Loop, okay? It means that you're waking up and you have a mind of your own and you're not going to be force-fed things, okay? So one of the things that I've mentioned in recent videos, in fact, my last 2 energy updates for June, is that there'll be a lot of news, there'll be this sort of revelations of corruption, negative events, or people being shown for what they are, including, those that are sexual predators, and that also links in with the pedophilia thing. So these are issues that I care about really, really deeply, and that I have known about for a really long time. And yes, there are moments when certain people are, pop up in the public eye on the media as being exposed. So, there's some really interesting things happening there, and there is a lot more than we are told about. This is including trafficking, things like that. Okay, so, I just challenge you to question the mainstream media, and to, also one of the messages in this is that there are good things happening. When light exposes things, there are also people that are in the light that are working to eradicate this filth and muck and terrible atrocities of the world. Atrocities. That's a hard one to say. Thanks for the little heart, by the way. So, there's so much going on behind the scenes. So, what happens often, I've seen, especially in the American politics, and, I've said many times I can't stand politics. I just felt from a young age that there was something really off about it. And the way American politics has handled itself in the last, not sure how long, 5 years or so, whatever, it's gone insane. It's gone hysterical, right? It's a circus. And I can't understand how anyone could not see it that way. So we've become so, what's that word? Like acclimatized. And the more we're fed something, the more we start to believe it, right? It's like being in an abusive relationship where the person being abused, gets used to it, and then that's their new normal, right? So, new normal's the funny term, isn't it, this year? So, I challenge what we're being told, and also, I have a lot of hope, which I feel that is the core messages I've mentioned today, in the world. So we can get really bogged down by the higher energy, the lower energies, and all the stuff going on, and we can feel it personally when we are attacked, such as on social media, for sharing a belief. It's happened to me millions of times. It's a horrible feeling. And people are just nasty, okay? And Madalena just said because they are afraid that Trump is going to expose them all. Yeah, and that is, you know, I don't talk about politics, and thank you for sharing that. You know, I don't talk about politics or take sides or anything like that, but I do believe that there is stuff going on and there's a lot of exposing, and that this current time period of the eclipses is particularly potent, being that there are 3, right, each couple of weeks between each other. So we're right in the heart of it right now. And, you know, this energy is just like, you know, and unfortunately, the negative people in positions of power, or, you know, who are into the negative side of the negative occult belief systems, ancient religion, religious, perhaps that's arguable if it's a religion, belief systems, who utilize energy, utilize numbers, and utilize astrological movements and so on in nefarious ways. They know what they're doing, and so they use this kind of energy to suit their own purpose, right? And so this is why at this time it's important to be aware of the light, because even now as I'm starting to speak about it, I start to get that little feeling of that energy coming in, right? And we don't want to feel that. We don't want to feel that. So I'll just tell you one brief example. I won't go into the specifics because I don't want to bring the energy up and expose you to the energy of it. But there is talk about some protests happening this weekend that are of a negative group mindset. That's all I'm going to say, okay? So for example, it's not the KKK, but let's just use them as an example, right, of a negative mindset group, okay? So there's another negative mindset group, and they're supposedly planning to have these protests. So that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to bring in that energy anymore. And whether that's true or comes about or not, it's a reminder that of the power of, you know, Christ, God, source energy, angels, truth, and the higher realm. Which brings me to, I keep looking at this cross that I have here, and I want to show it to you, because a few weeks ago I received a text message from someone who's one of my viewers here, and who I've never met, who lives in Melbourne, and outside of Melbourne. She said she's going to send me a gift, and I was all excited because, you know, I trusted this person. And so I got this gift, and I didn't know what it was going to be, and came to my door, and I opened it up, and I just want to show it to you. It's this beautiful, beautiful cross, and it's just so, so powerful. I just feel it now, so hopefully you can feel the energy radiating from it. And it's so special to me. And when I opened the box and I looked up at the time, you know, as you do, I'm not thinking what's the time. It's just what happens when you see the numbers, right? Who can guess what number I saw? Of course, it was 1111. So, and then when I texted this person, she said, I knew that would happen at 1111. It was just so funny, right? But isn't this amazing? And it's so powerful. And I just think having a gift like that from someone who is so kind, who does not know me, who's not even a client, who just has listened to some of my stuff, I can't tell you how much that meant to me. So I had after I received it, not long after, I did a house clearing, and I took this along with me. Even though it's fairly heavy and very fragile, I still took it along with me, and it's my little symbol of hope, light, faith, okay? So I'm just going to pop this here. So this is what it's all about. So we can easily get brought down, whether it is an individual person who's just nasty, right? Generally nasty, you know, or having a moment. Sometimes it's when you're talking to people who just don't think of things outside of the little box that they're in, and that can be difficult. I know that I have difficulty with that myself, and that being psychic, being empathic, you can feel people's energy very strongly, and you can feel when they don't like something you've said. They might have a bluff face or be smiling at you, but you can feel all of their, you know, all of this niggly energy that sort of that where they don't like you or what you've said. And, you know, it can, you know, work as a psychic attack against you. So that's just one-on-one conversations. But then you have the social media and so on. So for those who are into the negative belief systems, you know, they cast out this sort of these energies in different places. So we can pick up on that energy also. And so I think we have enough going on, right? So the messages for today is, I just pulled out some oracle cards, and we've got, I mean, this is the first card that came out. So there's several packs, and what I tend to do is I just pull from a few packs that I feel drawn to, and then I just instantly the meaning comes out. I don't think of it that much more, and then I put the cards in a kind of order that I feel matches, like telling a story, right? And so this card here, obviously, I mean, you know, that's obviously Eclipse, okay, the moon. And so really it's about beginnings, right? Because as I said before, you might not feel like you're in a beginning, but this is the truth of the energy. It's a solar eclipse. It is a powerful new moon. And any moon energy can be really palpable on its own. And then you have a super moon. Wow, that's extra powerful. Eclipse, okay, bring it on another level. And it also coincides with the solstice. And, you know, and again, the solstice was all about light and the sun. And, you know, which is interesting also because the negative elite will, you know, can worship that in a negative way, right? That doesn't mean that it's negative. It's just two sides of the coin. If not worship, then utilize that energy. That this is why this is the crux, and I want to lift people up and see outside of things and just to not fall into the traps, okay? So it's like little booby traps being put around everywhere, okay? And you know, and you are being triggered potentially, okay? So watch out for that. So the feeling here is of this sense of, even if you look at the moon there, it's kind of hiding under a rock, right? Sort of between this rocky sort of cave-like backdrop. So the feeling is too of the being of the shadows. And I also get the feeling of there being like two worlds in one. And I really felt like today it's wake up to the new world. The new world is here. The new world is here. When I say that, I mean the new world. You could word it any way you like, meaning a higher reality is here. Let's put it that way, okay? A higher reality is here for us now. And as your consciousness is activated and you completely become one with that, then you are that and you're in that world, okay? And see how it feels different even through listening to me, because my intention for these videos also is to transmit an energy through them, so, you know, of upliftment. I'm just going to read a message before it goes away. Madalena said, the solstice is being shown live from Stonehenge tomorrow on YouTube for the first time ever. How interesting. Good. Okay. So so the idea here is of lifting up your vibration, because when we talk about the lower vibration, whether it's a person that you're in conflict with, and we all have those and it's up and down, but you know, we all know them, the little silent war you have with one person that irritates you or whatever it is, you know, it's a lower energy, okay? Or when you start to watch the news or get involved in this and that, think too much about an issue, okay? So, you know, it's two. So the other message here was prayer, which is perfect because that was the intention of today too, is to uplift through words, through prayer, through intention. So it's also appears like a kind of, it reminds me of a sage stick, okay, which I use to clear energy. And, you know, and there's so much light, right? So it's accessing the light and clearing out the darkness. And then a clarity emerges, and the new moon is about usually new beginnings and clarity and kickstarting again. And so think of that as a superpower accelerator, a gateway to enter new dimensions, new, you know, really. So it's also about going into the heart space, okay, and feeling in the heart. And it's a time for releasing any repressed feelings of anger, resentment, unforgiveness, frustrations, issues, matters, anything sort of blocking. It's just coming up to the surface. You must be willing and ready to release that, but there'll be a time of processing as well, and then starting afresh again, because it's all about cycles, and the cycles come in and they come out, and we're to grow in and amongst that. And it really is, I mean, this card here is, I don't use the term new age, but just think of it as a new epoch or paradigm on earth. But it says birthing a new age. So birthing a new reality, birthing a new epoch, right? Okay, so they're these beautiful cards, new cards that I have. And it says birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. And you know, and perhaps for some that sense of new world is a trigger, because we know of the NWO, which if you turn that into words is the antithesis of a bright new bubbly higher dimensional world, what some people call, as Valerie mentioned, the 5D, the fifth dimension, right? Yes, the new earth. So you know, we have to be aware of both. You know what's interesting then, because Madalena mentioned the Stonehenge, and doesn't that remind you of Stonehenge there? Okay, so there you go. You know, everything is synchronicitous, everything flows. It's just, that's how it is with energy. And so this person here is in their bubble of protection, and they're accessing higher light, energy, dimensions, and so on. And they're also, you know, within the circle of unity, protection, peace, harmony, sacredness. So I invite you today to be within your sacred inner circle, and to come back to oneness. Okay, oneness and all that is, you know, balanced and within harmony and unity, versus the notion of duality, separation, fear, and all that stuff. Okay, so you get the difference, because then coming from this will be in a it's like an upliftment. There is a whole lot of Mars Aries energy that's starting to activate. Okay, and so that's where you get this card here of action and stepping forward, and that sort of male power thing. Now this male power thing gives me two connotations. One is it denotes the idea of action, okay, the male active principle versus the receptive female. It also comes back to the feeling of balance, okay, which is really important. And the male energy also, though, can represent the patriarchy, and that is something that we are wanting to break free from. It represents back to the story I read at the beginning about Zeus chaining Prometheus to a rock, the slavery, okay, being bound, being in a sort of male dominated, too much. So that female energy is wanting to come in. However, at the same time, we all have that feminine and masculine parts of ourselves. So the active principle force of the male energy within us is wanting to rise above, be the warrior figurehead, be a leader of sorts, to rise above, to go to marches or whatever it is, right? So that's that sort of male energy that's about at the moment too. So, you know, the lunar energy can be considered as feminine, right? And then you have the sun. So, you know, and this here, there's lots of yellows here. So overall, it speaks of a story of coming back to your own inner strength. Okay, so feeling that now. So let's come back into our inner strength and have that feeling of groundedness and knowing, because sometimes we have this feeling of remember who you are on a soul level, remember what you came here to do. And you don't have to remember it. I used to hear that phrase, There's actually an oracle card called Remember Who You Are, and people would mention things sometimes about that, and it used to always irritate me about 10 years ago because, I mean, I liked it on one hand, but the other side of it was, but what do you mean remember? I can't remember, god damn it. But it's not about that. It's not remembering with your ego mind or with your sort of everyday rational thinking mind. It's about your higher mind and consciousness, remembering that you are soul. That is it. So you can hear it right there. I mean, feel that energy, soul. And that's what we are to be reminded of when we get too caught up in the outside stuff and the distractions. We get off kilter, we get off course, and we are not in soul. We are then in the human slavery oppression, right? And we don't want to be oppressed anymore. No one wants to be squashed in a box and pushed down, okay, and chained to a rock. So, you know, the Pandora's box has been lifted, the lid has been lifted, the light's coming in and all the little critters are crawling out. This does not mean that this is the one and only resolution to everything. No, but it's a start, it's a moment, it's a historical moment, if you like. It's an important cosmic earth time. So we have that strength, and then have your protection. So just ask that you every day over the next while, especially over the next few days, right? But also moving on from there into the next few weeks is to clear your energy, okay? And to feel your strength. Remember who you are on a soul level and be from that level. I really highly recommend going out for walks in the fresh air and just shaking things off and having that time to reflect, even if it's happening on a subconscious level. Okay, does anyone have any questions or anything like that? I will have to sign off soon because I actually have to teach English today to my grade 3s. So, you know, so let's just take a moment and feel your sense of strength, as I keep mentioning. All right, now I want you to feel your light growing, okay, your light. And we're just going to ask the angels to come in and offer some healing. Okay, so feel that sense of peace. And if you're someone who needs to feel peace more often, just listen to one of Eckhart Tolle's recent recordings. As soon as you hear him start speaking, you feel the vibration of peace. It's very powerful with him. Okay, he's like a little Yoda. Okay. So there you go. So just feeling that sense of calming down, feeling that sense of peace. If you have any questions, comments, let me know. Beautiful. All right, and let's just sit in that tranquility of knowing. Thank you, angels. Beautiful. Okay, so I think that's all the messages I want to share for today. So keep up the prayers and the energy work, and you got this. All right, let's do it. So you can keep up your messages. I'll keep the video on, so please do share. So I've got to thank you for your awareness. You're welcome, Maria and Madalena. The universe has directed me to Neville Goddard and Eckhart Tolle the last week. Well, there you go. Just want to say, Natalie says, just want to say thank you, Natalia. Huggies. Oh, huggies back to you. Huggies to everyone. Okay, so that's what it's all about. Let's uplift each other and know you are not alone. Okay, we can feel so alone in these things. You are not alone. We're here for each other. Okay, all right. God bless everyone in every single way. Talk soon. Bye.